speech by Hassan Adnan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hassan.
Thank you for the kind words. Distinguished guests, speakers, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good morning. No response? Good. Welcome to WIBCON' Islamabad. We had a fantastic WIBCON in Lahore. Now it's Islamabad, and then we'll be going to Karachi as well. 17 years ago, what started 17 years ago as just a conference has now transformed into a journey to include, journey to empower, journey to educate women under the banner of WIBCON. WIBCON is no more a single conference now, but a movement that spans across cities, across industries, and across generations as well over these 17 years. In my personal experience now, what WIBCON has also done, created that awareness, and I see a lot of other platforms emerging who are taking this agenda forward, which is wonderful. I have at least attended 3 different such events during 2025, where we are talking about how to empower, support women to take those lead roles in all walks of life. What WIBCON has also done is integrated women from all walks of life. So it's not just restricted to one sector or one industry, which I believe is a great success. In some of the bigger conferences in Lahore and Islamabad, they were able to integrate the homemakers and the female students also into the conference through a very structured and separate program as well as part of WIBCON. Now, the purpose of WIBCON is not just to empower women, but it is to co-create it. And that's why we believe in bringing men and women together in terms of having those meaningful dialogues, break barriers, and then rise together. If you have been attending WIBCON earlier, you would know that we have ran different themes. PSTD team has ran different themes. And from rising to wandering. So a collective pause. When we talk about wandering, it is to take a collective pause to reflect, reimagine, and realign on what's next. So once again, I welcome you all on behalf of PSTD board to join this event. Without your support, we would not been able to put up this wonderful show. I'll share some of my personal reflections over 25 years in corporate and then a few years in the consulting as well. When I joined the corporate world in '96 as a management trainee, even in those days, we started talking about diversity and inclusion. So there has been a long history of focus on diversity and inclusion. In my experience, what I have envisaged and tried in my corporate life is to focus around 3 pillars in terms of supporting and driving this agenda forward. Number 1, education and sensitization. So 25 years ago, this was the big thing. You couldn't work on any other thing unless you sensitize the organization. And a lot of effort has gone in terms of creating that self-awareness. And all of us have biases. So how do we create self-awareness amongst all our people in our organization to look at D&I in completely different sense and also be aware of our biases? So that's one area where a lot of organizations have put in a lot of effort. So that's first pillar. The second pillar is infrastructure and support system. So the basic infrastructure, and I'll give you some examples on it that today, even after many, many decades of focus, we still encounter that. This is the first time PSTD has introduced sign language in all their conferences, which is a wonderful step. Until recently, we were not doing it either in trainings or in conferences. So, and we talk about inclusion. The females, separate washroom facilities, prayer rooms, daycare, this is still being talked about. Now the big companies probably have gone over it. But in my last role in Coca-Cola, where I headed HR, but then I also headed sales, for a few years when I was heading sales, what you realize is that we were trying to bring in more females, and we brought in 200 females under our distribution setups, right? So huge jump over there. But then in those remote parts of the country, they don't have those basic infrastructure. So we had to focus on the infrastructure. And it's not just the physical infrastructure, but also the sport system. Big companies, you have Speak Up and you have harassment committees. When you start creating those kind of bubbles, females in the rural area, you have to create those sport systems as well. Third pillar, which I feel still is work in progress, is policies and practices. So policies in terms of bringing in flexibility, policy in terms of supporting the working mothers. So what kind of policies you have? I think there is some way to go. And the practices as well. What kind of practices are you following in the organization? So these were the three kind of pillars that I personally have focused in my corporate experience, and I've seen other companies focusing on it as well. Besides putting in the representation numbers. So a lot of companies have done that successfully or unsuccessfully, but the net result is that we are making some progress. Is that progress enough or not? I'll give you some numbers in terms of impact. 10, 12 years ago, I remember when I was talking on similar kind of events, I would use some of the global statistics and I would say that D&I has been so much talked about, but when I looked at the success of it, and just as a figure, the Fortune 500 companies had about less than 3% female CEOs, had less than 2% colored CEOs in those days. Now, if you look at it, yeah, we have just little over 10% female CEOs in the Fortune 500 companies. Similarly, the colored CEOs, if you look at it, we have around 10% in the Fortune 500 companies. So some progress, but is it enough? Now, when we talk about, one of the research says that when we talk to the global CEOs today, 90% of the CEOs say that D&I, DE&I is one of the critical business goal, right? So it is now integrated into the business. It's not something to do on a side. As per McKinsey report, recent one, everyone realizes that more diverse companies are able to deliver 25% more profitability. So these are some of the statistics in terms of progress that we are making. In Pakistan also we have made some progress. So SCCP has mandated that you need to have one female on the board. Then if you look at, I picked up another report from Pakistan Business Council, and it gives us some statistics which are that 50% of our CEOs say that D&I is a critical business goal. So there is a stronger realization within Pakistan as well. When we look at the number in terms of the female ratio, only 10% of the organizations have more than 25% female in this organization. And this is a sample research that they have conducted. So still, if you look at it, 90% are below 25%, and 40% are below 10% female with all the effort that we have made. So there is progress, but maybe not enough. I would mention that over the years, what I've seen is the companies in Pakistan have initiated wonderful D&I initiatives, so a lot to learn from each other as well. So is this progress enough? I don't know. I mean, you're the best judge. Uh, there is one other statistics which is very interesting, that if we look at the gender parity in economic participation, it will take us 134 years to close the gap if we continue moving at the same pace. And if you look at the Pakistan figures, 145 out of 146 on the gender gap. So there is definitely some progress to be made. Okay, so I just reflected on it and said, based on my humble submission, what are some of the things that I can leave with all of you to think about? Number one, focus on inclusion rather than just the D. And I'm glad that more and more companies are doing it. I'll give you a reason for that. Entry-level representation of female has gone significantly up. One of the studies in the US suggests that it has gone up as high as 50% in many industries and companies. In Pakistan, in the same Pakistan Business Council, where they study it across various industries, two industries, banking and FMCG, it goes as high as 70% at the entry level. When you look at the C-suite, the same number drops down to 0 to 10% in those industries in Pakistan. If I give you the US number, it drops down by 30 percentage points. So what happens that females are not able to transition to C-suite, and there could be a whole host of reasons, personal and professional, but I believe by focusing on inclusion, we can improve this. 40% of underrepresented groups say that we feel, so they are in the organization, you have hired them into the organization, they say, we feel we are not heard when we are in the room. So a lot of stats are there, data points are there, which are suggesting that where do we need to focus. So I was listening to Paolo Gaudiano on TED Talk, and he made a statement which kind of sticks with me, and it's a beautiful one. Inclusion is what we do. Diversity is what we get. So there's a lot of potential that we can improve not only the diversity representation, but the overall culture. And I would also say that, the inclusion is much more broader in its appeal, so everyone buys into it. I gave you just one example, and I can give you a lot of those examples, and I realized that I also had blinders, right? I didn't see that some of the differently able people, even if they're brought into the organization, how they were integrated in those organizations, we didn't know. That brings me to the second point, which is we have to change the leadership mindset. We have grown in a certain manner, so we may have our own hardwiring, and we may have certain blinders that we don't see what we don't see. I'll give you an example again, an analogy, that if you are healthy and you have not experienced a certain disease, you probably don't know much about that disease. So if you are a privileged one and you are included in the organization in terms of your career, so you don't see how it feels like being excluded. A lot of our leadership teams, very often are the ones who are included. So very often it's not their fault, but they may not see, they may not understand, or they may not know what to do to improve the inclusion, to bring in those people who are excluded, to bring them into the organization. That's what I was saying, that even I experienced and reflected on it. We had someone who couldn't speak and who couldn't hear. The whole HR team was very nice to the gentleman. We never realized that, when he was sitting through the meetings and he was sitting through the training programs, we had to have some facilitation in terms of sign language for the person to understand. So he never raised it. He probably sat there quietly for the whole day, getting far less out of that training than anybody else, right? So we don't know sometimes, so we have to change our mindset. The third area that I would raise here is that future of work is changing. Uh, we need to upskill our people very quickly. The lifespan of our employees is changing as well. It's not like our generations, but they would have multiple career changes, multiple jobs in their career as well. Um, the traditional hierarchies are breaking down. Career paths are changing, employment contracts are changing. So a lot of these things are changing. Unless we are diverse and inclusive, we may not be able to cope up with the changes on the future of work and be able to attract the right talent. So in spirit of this theme today, I wonder if inclusion wasn't just a policy. It was a practice that we all lived every day. I wonder, what if we were able to see each other without any personal biases? And I wonder, what if every boardroom had a reserved chair or some chair for the voices that have never been heard? I leave you with those thoughts, but before I end my talk, now on behalf of PSTD board, I would like to acknowledge and thank all the sponsors who have helped us put this event together. So big round of applause for the sponsors. A big thanks to all the speakers who have taken time and come over and will be sharing their wisdom and creating that meaningful dialogue today for all of us to learn. So big round of applause to all the speakers who are here, who will be coming during the day. And then a big round of applause to all of you who are here today to make this event beautiful. So thank you very much for here. And lastly, which is generally done at the end, but I'll do it up front on behalf of the PSTD board. Again, I'm very thankful to the PSTD team who puts up this wonderful show, and they do it every time and make it bigger and bolder every time we see it. So thanks to the event organizer. Now, finally, I've been on the PSTD board for 7 years now, and it's a voluntary role. And during the COVID, I was also chairing the business development, so got a bit more involved in terms of reshaping the direction of the company, because our traditional model was the core training programs face-to-face. So we went through a lot, and that created a reflection moment for the whole board. And we've gone through our own journey and transformation over the last many years. So in the last 2 years or so, with all the thinking that the board has done, we have evolved significantly as the organization. The vision and mission that started over 7 decades by late Mia Ghani Sahib, and it has been heavily supported by the corporate sector. I was just speaking with Zohair Saab, old time. They have been big supporter of the PSTD and part of it. So a lot of our senior leaders have supported to bring PSTD where it is. And now we had to involve with the changing times and changing customer demands as well. So what we went through, we have come up that we have to be more appealing in terms of what customer needs. So with the new vision of bridging knowledge globally, PSTD has launched its new logo and also the ambition to really widen its offering in terms of what customers are looking. And I'm also fascinated with their ambition to go outside Pakistan as well. So it won't be restricted. If we want to bridge knowledge globally, we will not only bring international speakers to Pakistan, which we have seen in last 1 or 2 years, but also have collaborations like INSEAD program that we are delivering now. And we will also go outside Pakistan to make sure that we are competitive internationally. So kudos to Adil and the whole PSTD team for taking that leap in terms of expanding the horizon. And I will leave you now to look at the video which will share the PSTD new logo with all of you. So thank you very much. Enjoy the video and enjoy your day as well.